How far would you go to uncover the truth behind a place shrouded in mystery and darkness? Would you dare to step inside a mansion where every shadow hides a terrifying secret? What would you do if you felt an unseen force watching your every move? In the secluded town of Ravenscroft, there existed an ancient mansion known as Ravenscroft Manor. The townspeople avoided it at all costs, sharing whispered tales of those who had ventured inside and never returned the same. The manor had a dark history, marred by tragedy and mysterious disappearances that spanned centuries. Despite the warnings, the allure of the unknown was irresistible to some. Emily and James, a young couple with a passion for the paranormal, decided to investigate Ravenscroft Manor. They had spent years exploring haunted sites and documenting their findings on their YouTube channel, hoping to uncover the truth behind the supernatural. Emily, with her keen intuition, and James, with his logical approach, believed they could handle anything the manor threw at them. As they approached Ravenscroft Manor, an eerie silence enveloped them. The once grand structure now stood in ruins, its windows shattered and its walls covered in ivy. The air was thick with a sense of foreboding, and even the birds seemed to avoid the area. Despite their growing unease, Emily and James pressed on, determined to uncover the secrets hidden within. Upon entering the manor, they were greeted by an oppressive darkness that seemed to swallow their flashlight beams. The air was musty, filled with the scent of decay and neglect. As they moved deeper into the house, strange noises echoed around them, whispers, footsteps, and distant, mournful cries. The atmosphere grew colder, and the shadows seemed to move on their own. Emily's intuition told her that they were not alone. She could feel a presence watching them, following their every move. James, ever the skeptic, dismissed her fears, attributing the sensations to their heightened anxiety. But as they continued their investigation, the disturbances became impossible to ignore. In one of the upper rooms, they discovered an old diary, its pages yellowed and brittle with age. The diary belonged to Eliza Ravenscroft, the last known resident of the manor. Her entries spoke of a descent into madness, plagued by visions of shadowy figures and ghostly apparitions. She wrote of hearing voices calling her name and feeling an unseen force pulling her towards the basement. Intrigued, Emily and James decided to explore the basement, hoping to find answers to Eliza's cryptic writings. As they descended the creaking stairs, the air grew colder, and an overwhelming sense of dread washed over them. The basement was pitch black, and their flashlights flickered as if struggling against an unseen force. Suddenly, they heard a loud crash behind them. Whirling around, they saw that the door had slammed shut, trapping them inside. Panic set in as they realized their phones had no signal, and their only way out was blocked. The temperature continued to drop, and they could see their breath in the air. Emily's heart raced as she felt a cold hand brush against her shoulder. She spun around, but no one was there. James, too, felt a chilling presence, as if something was breathing down his neck. The shadows in the basement seemed to coalesce, forming dark, menacing shapes that moved closer with each passing second. Desperation took hold, and they began to search frantically for another way out. In the corner of the basement, they found a hidden door partially obscured by debris. With trembling hands, they cleared the way and opened the door, revealing a narrow passage that led to a hidden chamber. Inside the chamber, they discovered a makeshift altar surrounded by strange symbols and burnt candles. The air was thick with the stench of sulfur, and a sense of malevolence hung heavy in the room. In the center of the altar was a weathered, leather-bound book. Emily, against her better judgment, reached out to touch it. As soon as her fingers brushed the cover, the room was filled with an ear-piercing scream. The shadows writhed and twisted, and the ground beneath them began to shake. A powerful force knocked them to the floor, and the book flew open, its pages turning rapidly on their own. The air was filled with a cacophony of voices, each one more tormented than the last. Emily and James clung to each other, terror coursing through their veins. Just when it seemed they could endure no more, the shaking stopped and the voices ceased. The book lay open on the altar, revealing a single word scrawled in blood: "Leave." Gasping for breath, they scrambled to their feet and fled the chamber. They raced up the stairs, only to find the basement door standing open. Without a moment's hesitation, they bolted out of Ravenscroft Manor, not daring to look back. As they reached the safety of their car, they vowed never to return. The experience had shaken them to their core, leaving them with more questions than answers. Little did they know, the horrors of Ravenscroft Manor were far from over. The shadows had followed them, and their nightmare was just beginning. Despite their promise to stay away, Emily and James found themselves haunted by the events at Ravenscroft Manor. Strange occurrences plagued their daily lives: objects moving on their own, whispers in the dead of night, and the ever-present feeling of being watched. It was as if the manor's malevolent spirits had attached themselves to the couple, refusing to let go. Driven by a desperate need to end the torment, Emily and James decided to return to Ravenscroft Manor one last time. They hoped to confront the spirits and put an end to the haunting once and for all. Armed with new equipment and a renewed determination, they set off for the mansion, their hearts heavy with fear and anticipation. Upon their arrival, the manor seemed even more ominous than before. The air was thick with an unnatural stillness, and the shadows seemed to beckon them inside. With a deep breath, they crossed the threshold, steeling themselves for what lay ahead. This time, they headed straight for the basement, determined to uncover the truth behind the hidden chamber and its sinister altar. As they descended the stairs, the temperature plummeted and their breath came out in visible puffs. The basement door closed behind them with a resounding thud, sealing their fate. In the chamber, the altar stood as they had left it, the book still open to the blood-scrawled warning. Emily and James approached it cautiously, their flashlights flickering. They knew they had to confront whatever force was at work, but the oppressive atmosphere made it difficult to think clearly. James took a deep breath and began to recite a cleansing prayer he had learned from a local priest. The air around them seemed to vibrate with energy, and the shadows recoiled as if in pain. Emily joined in, their voices growing stronger with each word. The ground shook, and a deafening roar filled the chamber as the spirits fought back. Just when it seemed they might succeed, a powerful blast of energy threw them against the walls. The book slammed shut, and the room was plunged into darkness. The shadows coalesced into a towering figure, its eyes burning with malevolent fury. It spoke in a voice that chilled them to their very souls. "You cannot banish us. We are bound to this place, and now so are you." With a wave of its hand, the entity sent them crashing to the floor. Pain radiated through their bodies as they struggled to stand. The figure loomed over them, its presence suffocating and overwhelming. Emily and James knew they were facing a force far beyond their understanding. In a desperate bid for survival, Emily reached for the book, hoping to use it against the entity. As her fingers closed around the cover, she felt a surge of power course through her. She began to read from the pages, her voice steady despite the terror in her heart. The entity shrieked in rage, its form flickering and distorting. James joined in, their combined voices creating a barrier of light that pushed the entity back. The ground shook violently, and the chamber walls began to crack. The entity's screams grew louder, echoing through the manor. With one final, defiant cry, it vanished, leaving behind an eerie silence. Exhausted and shaken, Emily and James staggered out of the chamber. The manor was crumbling around them, the walls collapsing as the spirits were freed from their torment. They barely made it out before the entire structure came crashing down, burying Ravenscroft Manor and its dark secrets forever. As they drove away, the weight of their experience settled over them. They had survived, but the scars of their ordeal would never truly heal. The shadows of Ravenscroft Manor had left a lasting mark on their souls, a reminder of the darkness that lurks just beyond the veil of the ordinary. And so, they vowed to share their story, not as a warning, but as a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. For in the face of unimaginable horror, they had found the strength to stand together and confront the darkness. And though the shadows may linger, they knew they could face whatever came next, as long as they had each other. Thank you for joining us on this spine-chilling journey into the heart of Ravenscroft Manor. If this story left you trembling and wanting more, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Horrors. Share your thoughts and theories in the comments below. Have you ever encountered something truly terrifying? Let us know. We love hearing your stories. And remember, the next time you hear a whisper in the dark, it might not be your imagination. Stay curious, stay safe, and we'll see you in the next tale of horror and suspense.